Yeah. Jung's shocking dark truth about women. Women men must know.
Consistent from the beginning, she perceives not who you actually are, but who she believes you could become. You sense it in her gaze, don't you? That spark of anticipation, or perhaps it's desire. You believe you're truly seen, but you're not. You're being evaluated, examined like an empty canvas awaiting her artistic vision. Yet this masterpiece isn't you, it never was. And Carl Jung cautioned you, not with gentle, motivational phrases, but with the precise, clinical accuracy of someone who devoted his existence to exploring the psychological depths of human consciousness. Jung dedicated his life to charting what he termed the unconscious, that silent operating system beneath your awareness. He uncovered something disturbing about women: they don't simply fall for men, but for concepts of men, for fantasies, for projections. Most alarming of all, most remain unaware they're doing it. You might believe she's selecting you, when she's actually choosing the version of you she's constructed mentally, a psychological marionette existing to fulfill a role in her private narrative. When you no longer fit her script, she replaces the actor, not the storyline. Jung named this projection the animus, the internal masculine image residing within every woman. When this animus remains immature or unchecked, it becomes tyrannical, the invisible force driving women to pursue dangerous men while rejecting worthy ones, making them argue irrationally, dominate unwisely, and moralize without responsibility. Jung didn't minimize this, he described it as spiritual possession, a state where this remains immature or unchecked, it becomes tyrannical, the invisible force driving women to pursue dangerous men while rejecting worthy ones, making them argue irrationally, dominate unwisely, and moralize without responsibility. Jung didn't minimize this, he described
Moralize without responsibility. moralize, moralize without responsibility sounds crazy. Hold on, bro. Hold on. What is moralize?
Moralize means to comment on issues of right and wrong.
Without no responsibility. Damn, that's crazy.
it as spiritual possession, a state where the woman becomes unaware she's acting not from her consciousness but from the shadowy influence of her inner masculine fantasy. And men fall for it because nobody taught you to recognize it. You mistake being desired for being known, being chosen for being understood. You trust her when she says you're different, when really you're just the latest face cast in a role she's rehearsed since childhood. When the fantasy collapses, when pretenses fail, you're left bewildered, betrayed, and humiliated, wondering what went wrong. But you did nothing wrong, you simply stopped convincingly portraying a character in someone else's drama. Jung warned that escape from this psychological theater comes only through individuation, the lifelong journey toward inner wholeness. Here's the uncomfortable truth: most men never begin this journey. You've been conditioned to seek approval, pursue validation, let women define your worth. As long as you continue, you'll replay the same role repeatedly, replaced whenever the audience grows bored. Individuation isn't glamorous but brutal, requiring confrontation with buried aspects of yourself, the weak, insecure, broken parts. It demands you stop blaming women for not seeing you and start seeing yourself. Jung understood what most men never will: you don't become a man by being chosen, you become a man by choosing yourself. Your worth isn't earned through her affection but by standing alone, fully awake, responsible, alive. A man who has confronted his unconscious remains immune to projection. He's no longer a puppet in another's fantasy but the author of his own reality. Jung is glamorous but brutal, requiring confrontation with buried aspects of yourself, the weak, insecure, broken parts. It demands you stop blaming women for not seeing you and start seeing yourself.
Right.
Jung understood what most men never will.
Priority, my nigga. Prioritize yourself.
You don't become a man by being chosen, you become a man by choosing yourself. Your worth isn't earned through her affection but by standing alone, fully awake, responsible, alive. A man who has confronted his unconscious remains immune to projection. He's no longer a puppet in another's fantasy but the author of his own reality. Jung observed that modern men's greatest tragedy isn't rejection but willingness to reshape themselves into whatever form they believe will gain acceptance. You call it compromise, partnership, love. Jung called it self-betrayal. He warned that men ignoring their psychic development become slaves to feminine projection, bending like wet clay into shapes demanded by women who don't even understand their own desires. You stop being men and become masks, smiling, nodding, agreeing, performing until forgetting who you were before donning the mask.
Hold on.
Women sense this more than you imagine. The very qualities you think will win her love, obedience, predictability, availability, become reasons she loses attraction. Because feminine instinct, Jung taught, isn't drawn to comfort but to mystery, risk, the undefinable, uncontrollable man. Once you make yourself completely known, without boundaries or backbone, you don't become more lovable but invisible, disposable, replaceable. Yet here's the paradox enslaving most men: you fear solitude more than inauthenticity, preferring self-sacrifice over losing her, role-playing over facing the terror of standing without applause. But Jung taught that until a man embraces solitude, he remains unfree. He wrote that individuation isn't for the faint-hearted, requiring spiritual death before physical death, allowing false selves to burn away so authenticity emerges. Let me share what few dare articulate: individuation is profoundly, terrifyingly lonely. Walking this path, you begin seeing things impossible to unsee, recognizing games people play, masks they wear, lies they tell themselves for security. When you share these insights, they mock you, calling you cold, arrogant, overly serious, blaming you for the problem. But you're not the problem, you're the mirror, and people despise mirrors revealing what they refuse to face. Jung understood this well, studying patients terrified of confronting their shadow, those dark, rejected aspects of their psyche. Women, Jung warned, are often raised in cultures rewarding avoidance of such confrontation, told they're naturally pure, emotional, intuitive, complete. Jung disagreed, writing that women's greatest danger was their unconscious animus, the inner voice speaking with false certainty, authority, and moral superiority. He cautioned that women refusing to face and integrate this masculine force become its prisoners, projecting it onto every man, blaming them for internal battles they refuse to fight. Here you are, believing you're her savior, the exception, thinking sufficient love, proof, or performance will make her choose the authentic you. But projection doesn't operate that way. Jung taught that projection steals reality, substituting illusion. Until both genders awaken from this illusion, they're destined to repeat the same tragedy, each blaming the other, never realizing they're dancing with shadows. The most ironic twist: the woman who once saw you as hero will eventually see you as enemy, not because you changed but because you failed her fantasy. She won't recognize her role in this. Jung called this psychological betrayal inevitable when neither party takes responsibility for their inner world. You didn't lie or betray her, you disappointed the invisible character she unconsciously invented. You were never that character, which fuels her resentment, not for your flaws but for failing to embody her unspoken myth. Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls, nowhere truer than in romantic relationships. Both genders enter not as complete individuals but as walking projections, dragging unresolved fears, needs, and childhood wounds into the arms of someone they barely comprehend. You call it love, Jung called it possession. Like someone hypnotized, you repeatedly walk into the trap, believing this time will differ. But it never does because you haven't asked the most terrifying question: what if I am responsible for this pattern? You want to blame women, call them manipulative, deceptive, shallow, but Jung would ask, why did you let yourself be chosen by that woman initially? The man refusing to confront his inner feminine world becomes enslaved to hers. You're not a victim but a volunteer, choosing to play the fool, to act in her private myth because facing your emptiness, your incompleteness seemed far more frightening than portraying someone else's fantasy.
Damn. Facing your own emptiness. Seems better. seems harder than to portray somebody else's fantasy. Huh. That is wild. That is very wild.
Here's where most stop listening, where comfort ends and responsibility begins. Jung offered no easy solutions, no three-step alpha male program, just the brutal, lifelong task of self-confrontation, sitting alone with your mind until illusions crack, until the voice saying you're nothing without her begins dying. That voice will fight for survival, insisting you need her, are incomplete without her, that no man survives without feminine validation. But Jung's work whispers something more dangerous, the man standing without her, without approval, without applause, without being needed finally achieves freedom, from projection, performance, from tyranny of living as someone else's idea of manhood. Reaching this state, you don't become cold or distant but authentic, rooted, grounded, fully alive in your skin. Paradoxically, this is when women feel most drawn to you, not because you need them, but because you don't. You'll smile, not from heartlessness but understanding, that she walks her own path, must face her animus, must awaken from her illusions. You can't do this work for her, can't save her from herself. You can only follow Jung's example, walk your path so fearlessly you become a living mirror reflecting truth to all who dare look. Most will turn away, but rare few will thank you. This distinguishes being loved for your role from being respected for the man you've become. When you finally realize you needn't perform anymore, you'll notice people's discomfort around you. They'll sense something unnamed, your presence will unsettle them because you no longer fit predictable categories providing their security. Jung warned that the individuated man isn't welcomed by society but feared, misunderstood, labeled distant or arrogant. The truth is more threatening.
Label distant or arrogant. Run that back, hold on.
Because you no longer fit predictable categories providing their security. Jung warned that the individuated man isn't welcomed by society but feared, misunderstood, labeled distant or arrogant. The truth is more threatening. You've become untouchable, unbuyable, unmanipulable because you see through the game. Ironically, those once begging for your attention, validation, approval will resent you for not needing theirs. Women, especially those possessed by perfect man fantasies, will accuse you of emotional unavailability, overthinking, distance. What they mean is they can no longer control you, you've left the stage, abandoned their script. Without that script, they don't know how to interact with you because you've stopped being a character and started being a man. Jung once joked that gods have become diseases, what ancient cultures called divine possession, modern psychology terms neurosis. Make no mistake, validation-seeking men are spiritually sickest. You think you're romantic saying, "I'd do anything for her" or "she's my everything," but Jung would explain that what you call love actually refuses to carry your own soul. It's easier projecting onto a woman, making her carry your hope, meaning, purpose, because if she carries it, you needn't. But when she realizes she wasn't designed to carry your soul, she'll drop it, must drop it because no woman, however loving, can bear the weight of a man refusing to bear himself. When she drops it, you'll feel betrayed but shouldn't. You should thank her, because when illusion collapses, you finally...
Bruh. Bruh. Some things we don't need, right? Like, you only saying what? Let me run that shit back right here, just right here. Listen to this.
You needn't. But when she realizes she wasn't designed to carry your soul, she'll drop it, must drop it because no woman, however loving, can bear the weight of a man refusing to bear himself. When she drops it, you'll feel betrayed but shouldn't. You should thank her, because when illusion collapses, you finally face the truth. Becoming a man was never her work but always yours. In that raw moment of clarity, you have two choices: blame her, become bitter, join angry men pointing fingers at women, mocking, resenting, swearing them off like cowards, never daring to face their emptiness, or do what Jung would demand, turn inward, begin the lonely, terrifying, liberating work of individuation, becoming whole without needing completion from others. The truth, the woman you seek externally reflects the part of yourself you've abandoned. Until you face that part, every relationship remains performance, every connection transaction, every love a lie. But facing it, integrating your inner feminine, you become a man who needn't chase women, you don't pursue them, manipulate them, perform for them. You stand rooted in identity, and something miraculous happens. You no longer attract women wanting characters but women wanting truth. You'll recognize it because she won't.
There you go. There you go. You will no longer attract these women. You will not attract a woman wanting truth. Damn, bro. The nigga said you will attract woman wanting truth, bro. Hey, bro. So if I become the man that I want, I'll be attractive to where I'll be attractive where I want to be attractive. Which means the man I want, I made something attractive. But it can't be attractive to everybody.
Demand performance, won't try changing your script, won't fall for your fantasy. She'll stand before you authentically, not as goddess seeking worship but as human walking her path beside yours. No masks, projections, games. Meeting the real her, not fantasy, you'll instantly see the difference. She won't overwhelm you with grand declarations, won't treat you as her missing piece, won't seduce you with completion language because she doesn't seek completion. She isn't looking for salvation, she's done the work, met her shadow, confronted her animus, burned through illusions. That's why she won't need your performance or soul carrying. She'll stand whole, meeting your gaze not as someone to mold but someone she's finally prepared to meet. In that meeting exists no desperation, clinging, or performance, only truth. This truth, Jung taught, represents the rarest, most dangerous love, demanding nothing while offering everything, born not from need but freedom, freedom to choose, to lead.
Woo! But what he said right there, demanding nothing but offering everything. Boy, young boy. Boy, young boy. Young boy. Young boy. Demanding nothing but offering everything. But he's not even offering, bruh. It's just that I'm so great at being what I am. Come on, bruh. I'm just so great at being what I am. It blesses you, my nigga. Huh. There you go.
To stand together without illusions, masks, or fear. But I warn you, most will never experience this because most quit before arrival, settling for performance, fantasy, the temporary thrill of being seen as someone you're not, because facing your true self remains unbearable. But with courage, the gut-wrenching courage to continue walking, standing alone, stripping away every false layer built for approval, you'll eventually find yourself at the edge of something terrifyingly beautiful, yourself. When you do, women will no longer source your identity, no longer mirror your manhood. They'll become something entirely different, partners not prizes, mirrors not mothers, allies not saviors. You'll love them not from need but choice, from strength, wholeness, unapologetic self-knowledge. Jung left no map but a warning. Every man refusing self-confrontation becomes enslaved to others' projections, especially women's. He also left a challenge. Walk the individuation path. Stop blaming women for roles you volunteer to play. Stop seeking wholeness in others' eyes. Stop waiting to be chosen. The man who chooses himself, fully, unapologetically, relentlessly, cannot be controlled by fantasy, seduced by performance, reduced to characters in others' scripts. He becomes author of his own life. If you've read this far, if this message resonated deeply, don't simply scroll away or consume and forget. Take a moment to like this video, share with another man needing truth, and subscribe for more. Your support isn't just for us but for the next man living in illusion, waiting for freedom. Help spread this message, help awaken the world one man at a time.
Help waken the world one at a time. But this shit say, boy, you have to cut through some of these folks, but you feel me? Your kind, gang. You have to cut everything that's not your kind. As soon as you see him fall, to cut it off. That's just what he's saying. You gotta be a man on a mission. You're gonna have to be alone in your mission, man. You're gonna have to be alone in your mission. There's no one who can make that radical change. There is no one who can make that radical change with you, bro. I don't think there's somebody who could change with you radically, bro. Bro, I was not working. I never worked out my whole life, right? One day I went to my brother, to my friend. I call him my brother, but my friend. I went to my friend's place and he was working out in the morning and at night. Like radical gymming, like big gym, like crazy. Lifting weights. Nigga, I had to lift weights. I was sleeping at his house for like 30 days straight. The whole holiday. So it's like I had to work out in the morning, at night, in the morning, at night. Radically just from never working out to working out every day in the morning, at night, in the morning, at night. So it's like the change to him is so difficult to him. It's so hard. I don't think anyone can accompany you to change like that. You feel me? It was forced on me because I was there. Feel me? And then there was a lot of people relying on us to pitch. Oh yeah. I don't think nobody could go with you, bro. You feel me? Yeah. Maybe you have to give a nigga a platform to do them, but a radical change, you need to take that step on your own. That's what I think. I don't know. Say, man. Like, comment, subscribe. See y'all on the next one.